We're going to continue on with our theme of horror. With our next story, which comes from Stephanie Haines. Come on up, Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Now, most kids' stories, Stephanie, no matter how terrifying they are, usually end with a happy ending, Stephanie. Yours doesn't. You told us why earlier, and we're gonna read that now.
I was in grade 7, 11 years old at Green Glade School in Mississauga. The class photo is grade 7 class that I was in with the teacher who asked us to write this story. Her name was Ms. Romanek, and she's in the photo. To the best of my recollection, she asked us to write a story about a monster and include a picture. I'm in the bottom left corner of the photo in the red dress.
It's a really, really cute.
Yeah.
Look, you're so cute there. Remember that cute little girl as you visit this terrifying vessel of horror, ladies and gentlemen. And I gotta warn you, the story is called Eyes, Bones, and Other Trouble. And I do need to warn you that because it is a scary story, there could be fog.
The next story is called Eyes, Bones, and Other Trouble, written by Stephanie Haines in grade 7. Prepare to be disturbed by this terrifying tale? Prepare to be terrified by this disturbing tale.
The stroke of midnight rang throughout the abnormal town of Chi-Chi. Yes, it was abnormal, and that was the way it would stay. Unless that monster goes away somewhere, someplace. But how? Nobody knew anything at all about this hair-raising monster. And yes, he did make hair raise and teeth chatter. Everyone thought that the only reason the monster lived was for blood. The last stroke of midnight. New Year's Eve. Everyone in the town of Chi-Chi shuddered, for at the stroke of midnight, it was time for the monster's midnight snack. Exactly one body. No more, no less. There was no New Year's celebration in this town, only for the monster. His arms and face were flaming red, and the zigzagged red stripe on each of his legs seemed to glow in the darkness and silence of the night. A coal black claw came up to his forehead to scrape away an ugly fly. His blonde hair rustled in the wind and sounded like branches crackling. His purple eyes gazed up at the sky, and a scowl crossed over his face, for there was a full moon, and that meant the werewolves would howl all night. The town was completely silent as the monster trudged up to the opening of it. A piercing squeal came from the house next to this horrible monster. He turned slowly and dragged his feet to the house. He tore the roof off and savagely threw it in a ditch. Then he peered inside. He looked in closets, drawers, and other places, and finally found an innocent little girl at the age of 6, trembling under a bed. The snarling monster turned the bed upside down and grabbed the poor girl. Sarah was her name. Sarah started crying, then screaming, and then she was dead in the monster's stomach. The monster trudged back towards the hills. The monster's name was Swelloburpo Bat. When he arrived in his cave, he glanced in his mirror. Swallowburpo looked around his cave. On the wall, there were 3 pictures. One that consisted only of blue and yellow stripes, another with 2 faces on it, and a third of what you really couldn't call anything. On his bureau, there was a plate of cookies, and hung on a nail, there was a pair of ice skates. On a little shelf, the place where the skates were, was 10 or 20 eyelashes from unfortunate people. He paused to look at his human collection. It contained 2 bones, 4 eyes, 3 tongues, and some black and brown hair. It was bits and pieces of the stupid, idiotic people who had tried to capture Swallowburpo. What they saw, they had never survived to tell. That was why no one knew anything about this monster. To end the day, Swallowburpo Beck yawned 3 times, blinked twice, and then dropped to the floor for a sleep with an ear-shattering crash.
Stephanie, I think the question that everybody has burning on their minds is Swallowburpo Beck. Where did that name come from, Stephanie?
I don't remember.
I think that's probably wise, Stephanie. I noticed that Swallowburpo destroyed a young, sweet, innocent girl named Sarah. Did you have any friends named Sarah at the
Actually,
time?
yeah, there was a girl in that picture whose name was Sarah. Yeah.
Did you like her?
Yes. It's important to have a good collection.
Anybody from the audience have any questions for Stephanie?
Such a good question.
If Swallowburpo only ate humans, why would he have a plate of cookies in his house?
Don't know.
Do you think he tried to lure humans into his house?
Maybe that
and
was
he
it, yeah.
ate them there?
Yeah.
Or was it for other monsters that maybe had more exotic appetites?
Maybe it was just for dessert.
For dessert. Thank you so
Thank you very
very
much.
much, Stephanie. You have been awesome.
That's funny.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie Haines.